Welcome. No.
No.
Not feeling it. Not feeling
I'm
it. That's
still
not
putting it in there.
that's not
I'm starting it from when you said welcome.
God damn it. You see, this is what she does to me. I'm never
Every
camera ready.
time.
So today we have a very special guest on Metal Gal Radio, and her name is, can I give your last name? No. Her name's Lauren.
She's Swanky Gail Lauren.
She's Swanky Gail Lauren, and she is a marriage family counseling intern and a systemic psychotherapist. And she's going to talk to us today about mental health, which has been a topic that we have stated since the start of this podcast was one of our motivations to begin it, because music is therapy for us. So, welcome, Lauren.
Hello,
Hey,
Lauren.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Show us your hoop. Where are you from?
Yes.
Like the size of the hoop can we can tell where people are from. I feel like that's kind of true.
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like
I feel like the bigger the hoops, the bigger the confidence you have.
yes, yes.
And
So
you said you had a good week, so
I had a good week, but it's funny. It's cool that you said that because usually what I have always said is that the bigger the hoops, the bigger the heart. So I used to always say it that way, but then again, that's my empathy speaking. So
I kind of like that better. That's the nicer one. That's the nicer way to put it.
no, I like that too. I like it. So what is like how I just said, like music is like a form of therapy for us. Can you relate to that at all? And if not, what is something that you can use, like I guess an art form of some kind that you would consider like a form of therapy for you?
this is actually an interesting question because it's not linear. Being in the field that I'm in, I've kind of had to dabble in different forms of self-care, which I'm sure the podcast for you both is a form of self-care.
Definitely.
So with me, for example, yes, it's been music, it's been journaling, it's been a number of things. I've done a lot of crafts during the pandemic. I was drawing a lot. I like to collect, very human of me, but I like to collect the bottles that I drink wine out of or liquor out of and make those into vases.
That's awesome.
So,
I saved
Oh,
my wine
that's
bottles too. I actually just got the Walking Dead wine a couple weeks ago.
oh,
And it's got the one of the comic book covers on the front, and apparently if you scan the barcode on the back, it brings you to a website that has like that whole comic strip in there.
what? That's
So
sick.
you
oh,
can look
wow.
up, yeah, Game of Thrones wine I saw too. That looks really good.
Oh, I noticed a lot of shit. Have been a lot of brands and things have been doing that lately. I just got the magazine for Halsey's Makeup About Face, and when you flip it over, there's like a little scan thing on it, and you put your phone like on top of it, and it brings you to the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like maybe my second experience with that.
So that's awesome. You
Yeah,
take wine bottles and you make them into vases and stuff.
yeah.
Do you like real flowers or do you like letting them dry out?
I actually use fake flowers because I'm not a fan of dyeing flowers. So,
I haven't been able to get flowers because my cats eat them.
Same actually. Sucks.
So yeah, fake flowers would probably be the best bet, but they would probably eat them as well.
Oh
Knowing that.
god. Yeah, that's I think that when people hear self-care, they think spa day or really hot bath. And while those can be forms of it, I just feel like it's different for everybody. And that could mean going on a jog. It could mean doing something like this. So I don't know. I guess I want to remove the assumption that that's the only way to self-care. So like what are some maybe not typically not popular ways of self-care, but just maybe ways of self-care. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That aren't like I'm sorry, we need to cut this out because I'm being a derp. Um,
Or
you're
not.
not. You're not at all. I actually know where you're going with this.
ways of self-care that aren't people wouldn't think is self-care. How's that?
Great question, actually, because this was actually discussed with my internship class last semester. When we think of self-care, we usually think of something grandiose that we have to do in order to really kind of get ourselves out of like a chaotic state of mind, right? Um, so believe it or not, simple self-care is as easy as waking up in the morning and taking a shower. to start your day, or making yourself a cup of coffee and just sitting at the table still, or even drinking water. Even drinking water is a form of self care. Anything that's good for your body and for your well being in general, self care. Um, then I personally called it this, but then I call it the artillery in self care, which is, really, really bad week. Either you had a horrible week, things were just going horrible every single day, or you had a breakthrough session in therapy, or, things were just so overwhelming to the point that you need it. Like sometimes you don't even realize when you need it, but it's in those moments that you need it. I call it the artillery in self-care, which is basically, it's your plan for when things really get shitty. And so, for example, my artillery is a bubble bath with a candle, like right at the edge of the bath, a book, some nice calming music, and the lights off. That's my artillery. It sounds, you know, so small, but the fact that you're actually putting in time to relax yourself, to distract yourself, and in a way, a bath is also grounding yourself. Um, it really helps in that aspect. So, like I said, it's not linear. I just feel that everybody should have a plan for their artillery and self care.
I like that
Oh, yeah.
the word artillery for that because it's like it's almost like your shield, your go-to. Like when you know, like you said, when things are like at their absolute worst, like okay, this is my plan. This is what I do to like pull myself out of that. You have to have some sort of hobby or routine in that sense where you could just like say, all right, this is my fallback. And like you said, it could be something as simple as, taking a bath, but I totally agree with that. I don't have a bath, but I have a stand-up shower and I have Christmas lights all over my apartment in every room of the house, even when it's not Christmas. And I have these blue lights in my bathroom and I'll just put the blue lights on, light a candle and just sit in the bottom of the shower and let the shower water just like hit the back of my head and it's just so relaxing and soothing, but it stops everything else in the world going on around me and it's just
Mm.
like, all right, I could just like sit here and focus on myself for 2 minutes.
I can relate to that. Actually, I feel the same way. Like in the shower, I'm like, sometimes I have the thought, like, damn, this is like the only place I could legit be alone. And like, that feels good.
Water
you
is
know?
very soothing.
Yeah.
And I watched Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage. He did an interview today and he was saying he's like water is just one of those elements that whether you're taking a bath, taking a shower, jumping in a body of water, in the middle of nowhere, it's just crazy how empowered you feel in
Mm.
water. Like it's like almost like a natural instinct to feel relaxed. No
Yeah.
matter even in the rain. That's why I think a lot of people love the rain so much
I
because it's just so
love
soothing.
the rain. Lauren knows. Both of you know. Whenever there's a storm, I'll go outside and like just stare at it, like the thunder, the lightning. I know you hate it. She hates storms, but I'm just all about it. I feel like it like
I almost got struck by lightning as a kid, so I kind of have good reason for that. But my house
Oh,
now
bringing
that
up
I
her trauma. That's not nice.
not really not triggered.
Um, my house that I live in now, though, they redid the roof a couple years ago, so it's like it'll drizzle out here and you can hear it. But it's so soothing when there's a storm, like as much as the thunder and the lightning are 10 times louder, I feel like than they are outside because it echoes the rain all the time. It sounds so peaceful. It's just like pattering on my roof. My sister's like, that would drive me up the freaking wall trying to go to sleep listening to
Mm,
that at night. But I got used to it at this point. It's just so soothing to me now.
yeah, yeah. One thing that I thought of while you guys were going off about the showers and bath, which I can relate to, was like emotional regulation and how like that's the thing that you do on like your super bad day, right? But like what about like just everyday hassles, right? That like I know that we each have our own limits when it comes to how much we hassles and like stress we can handle day to day, but like emotional regulate that's so important to like confront them so that way the stress doesn't keep building and building. Sometimes eventually it gets to that point, but like are there, on the flip side of that, what are the small ways to emotionally regulate throughout your day? And for me, it's like, it's just breathing. Like seriously, like paying attention to diaphragmatic breathing if I have like a couple minutes at my desk. So like what's something that keeps you emotionally regulated throughout your day?
I can sit here and preach about meditation forever. Breathing exercises are really good, grounding exercises are really good. What I do encourage a lot of people, though, when it comes to really acknowledging their stress, is to try and understand where it's coming from,
Mhm.
where it's really coming from. Because so I'm what's considered a contextual and emotionally focused approach. So emotions are everything. Emotions are messages that your mind is sending you. You know, your body even sends you sometimes, because under extreme circumstances your body will react, right? But to really understand where that stress is coming from, I think that, taking a step back, breathing a little bit, and just kind of reflecting what else is going on that you're becoming so stressed in that moment. What else happened earlier that day or earlier in the week that is affecting you? Because there's a lot of things that we repress and we refuse to bring to the forefront right then and there. Unfortunately, because that's life. A lot of us, we live the day to day based off of a routine, and sometimes on autopilot, even because of that routine, right? So we don't really take time to acknowledge what we're feeling. We could actually be feeling really crappy one day and not even process it at all until the next day when something finally just kind of like clicks, and
And suddenly
suddenly you're reacting to something,
I have the bad
so
I do that all the time. I bottle shit up all the time, and then all of a sudden the smallest thing will happen, and it's like a bottle of soda that's been shaken for like 20 minutes, and all of a sudden the cork like pops off. And then it's like,
I'll s-
yeah.
I'll snap at like the most menial shit. I'll be like, I don't fucking want a coffee today. You know, like, and I'm like, I'm not angry at the fucking coffee, nor am I mad about who's asking me if I want one. Like, what actually is it? So yeah, being attentive to why you're feeling it, yeah, that's definitely important to regulate day to day. Christ. I'm so guilty of that. Sometimes I just get like stressed out over like, I don't even realize why I'm stressed out.
But it's because, like what Lauren was saying, it's because like there's other things going on, and it just packs on and packs on and packs on, and then something could be like as minuscule as that. You snap, and you're like, why did I snap at that? Is it because like I'm mad at the person? No, it's because of 20 other reasons why I'm
No,
mad.
it's because of the fucking 6 Feet Under series finale that
oh
has been.
my goodness, she's still going on about this.
I have to watch the show now because she was doing this with The Sopranos, and
Oh,
then
look at
3 weeks later,
the hoodie she made me. So like something that Lucy started, it was instead of going mood, like how like the memes you go, oh that's me, or
Current
mood,
mood.
that's me right now, is something she started. So she made this for me, and
After binge watching The Sopranos for 2 weeks straight,
I can't.
because she comes over, watch one episode. I'm like, oh yeah, I watched part of it when it was on. And then like 3 hours later, I'm still sitting in front of the TV with like a 4 o'clock shadow. Like, oh, episode. Like,
Yeah, it was bad. I knew what I was doing too. Like I sat back and I was like,
it was good though.
she's into it. She put her dinner over the table, like she's settling in. Are you binging anything right now? Yeah.
I don't have time. I'm literally like, when it came to really just sitting down with you both, I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, you can do this, because the whole week I was packed with a schedule, and then like now everything just kind of has to either fall into place or I have to pre-plan like a month in advance, and it's a lot of work that I'm doing. But I think that given the pandemic and the fact that the need for mental health, it has increased exponentially. Um, I don't want to say that I'm blessed, to be in the field at this point in time, but at the same time, I'm
You're keeping busy and you're doing good.
I am happy because now it's bringing mental health to the forefront, I feel. This is something that I've been passionate about since I was a kid. And, when I did my undergrad, psychologist wasn't really talked about, becoming a therapist wasn't even really talked about. When I started grad school, it started to become more popular because of online apps and all of that. People were really looking into them. And then the pandemic hit. And the research that was done in the pandemic, we're talking like hundreds of numbers increasing in percentages. Um, the need for it, the amounts of incidents that have gone up. Um, my biggest fear when it came to the pandemic was severe depression for a lot of people, right? Because unfortunately, the pandemic really forced a lot of people to sit with themselves for an extended amount of time and really reflect on themselves and their lives and things that have really gone on. And then on top of that, you have this environmentally catastrophizing event going on. And even though you're home, you still feel like you're not catching a break, right? So that's one of the things that I see um, in the field right now. A lot of realization when it comes to relationships, a lot of realization when it comes to families, trauma. Um, and I feel like, you know, being from the therapist perspective, it really, in a sense, made me look at myself more. And I'm even in my own process of healing. It's really, it's sad that it had to happen this way, but it's also beautiful in the sense that,
Agree with you
Yeah.
because we wouldn't like as horrible as this thing is that's going on right now in the world. When else would we have been able to tell ourselves, "Yo, stop, chill, listen to yourself. What's most important to you? Who is most important to you?" So I completely agree with you. Like I know you don't want to say it's a blessing because of the circumstances that have made this happen for everybody, really. But in a way, we kind of we needed something for us to.
We needed a break
Yeah,
from,
yeah.
and I think with that being said, it was unfortunately it had to be this happening in order to get that. But
Hmm.
like Lauren, what you were saying before, you it was like forcing people to like sit inside with themselves, and it's scary because like I know I'm like that. I have really bad social anxiety. I like staying home. My boyfriend's in two bands. He has like a security job and works at a hospital, so he's out and about all the time. And when he would play shows and stuff, like I would try to go sometimes, but other times I'm like, I just can't go out to a bar. I don't want to be around people. I like being home with my cats in front of my TV, just hanging out. And it was scary because when this happened at first, I was like, all right, quarantine. We're going to be stuck in the house. Like, it's fine. It's scary that it's going on, but I don't mind being home. I'm home all the time anyway when I'm not at work. And then it was like maybe 2 weeks in, and I was walking behind my house. I live like right by Connecticut State Park, so I have like the trails behind my house, and I was fortunate enough to be able to go out on the trails, and no one was out. I would be the only one out on the trail, and I remember just sitting down in the middle of the woods one day, and I started crying, and I was like, it's just, I think it was the reality hit me of even if I wanted to go out and be like around people, I couldn't.
Hmm.
And it was just like a harsh, scary realization like, holy shit, I'm an introvert, but I don't want to be an introvert right
No,
now. Like, I
same
want to
here.
be able to say, okay, if I feel like it, I can go out and do something. And it's just, it's so scary because, like, even like the other day, I was watching WWE and they came out like their normal entrances and like the crowd's cheering and stuff. And then they show the crowd and it was like 200,
Paper
like,
dolls.
no,
I'm just
it was
kidding.
fucking computer screens. And it was like everybody on Zoom, and it
Wow.
was like everyone was watching it live, and I guess, like, now it's like a virtual thing, but it was just TV screens in
That's so
chairs,
sad.
and the wrestlers are running up to the TV screens and, like, waving and stuff, and I'm like, "This is so fucking weird." There's, like and I think with mental health, it sucks because, like, even though people have social anxiety, like, just being able to talk to people and have that interaction of talking about your feelings and knowing you're not alone, and this pandemic, like, was like a bolt of lightning to
Mm.
that.
What sitting with myself is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever experienced. But I sat with her. Thanks, girl. But I sat with her. I figured out what the hell she wanted. Um, and ultimately, well, about a year ago, I was talking with, well, I'm very open on here that I see a therapist because I see it as like a thing that I could not live without at this point. It's been very helpful to me. But um, I guess before the pandemic, my therapist said to me, I think you make a good counselor. And at the time, I was like, I'm so fucked up. Like, I can't be a fucking counselor. What the hell are you talking about? And I just kind of push it aside. And then this happened, and I'm like, I want to help people, and you know what? I can. So instead of it being you're fucked up, like me telling me all this horrible stuff to myself, I in that, and even through my friendship with you, especially, because you're in the field, I was like, this is something I can do. This and shit, this is something I want to do. And those two things have never met before. What I can do and what I want. So that is what came out of this for me, for sure. What was something that came out of it for both of you? I'm interested. Like, I don't know, in like a moment like how I just described. It could be something big, small, anything.
I think I just like walking definitely helped. I never really like walked before. I was always lazy. I never really like wanted to get up off my couch and do anything. And by the time the end, well, I can't even say it's the end because it's not, but since the start of the pandemic, I've been walking like 6 miles a day. And
Wow.
it's so soothing and relaxing, and it's like there's not really a lot of animals out here, but I mean, I'm surrounded by deer, and just sitting in the woods, like, sometimes I'll just stop and sit down and just, like, look around, and there'll be, like, 10 deer, like, standing, like, 50 feet away from me, and I'm like, "This is, like, incredible." Like, I'm okay with, like, just being with myself for a little while because
Mm.
I felt like I mean, everyone that goes to work on a daily basis, there's a point in time where everyone has looked and said, I need a vacation. I need a vacation so I could go home and do this, and that, and get it done and not have to think about it anymore. And it was a
Uh-huh.
harsh reality, but that's what pretty much happened to people. It was like everything shut down. You were forced to be home and do things at home. When the pandemic first started, I painted my entire apartment, and the paint line at Home Depot was, like, insane
I just
because everyone and their mother said, "I'm gonna paint my whole freaking house." Like, everyone had
Yeah.
the same idea
I
as
was
me.
just gonna say, didn't you as well? I know I did. I just realized we're well, each of us are an air sign. No wonder.
It was
I
so
just realized.
soothing,
I just
though.
realized that. But I remember you did your room and you started with your decor, which
Yeah, yeah. So, I just want to point out, Lucy, everything that you did is self-care, whether you realized that or not. But walking the 6 miles, painting your apartment, things that really kind of grounded you and kept your sanity,
And I
that's
needed that
self-care.
'cause I felt like I never gave myself a break. Like, if I had a day off on the weekend, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go to Target and treat myself." But, like, it was a temporary thing. I feel like being in those woods every single day and just, like I also got a personal trainer right before quarantine hit, like, not even, like, intentionally, so that definitely helped. I lost 60 pounds since the
yeah,
beginning of
fucking
quarantine, so
Congratulations.
proud of her.
thank you. I was very impressed with myself that I was able to do that because I feel like if I didn't have the right mindset at that point, I probably wouldn't have. I would have just been like sitting and eating my feelings all day because I love food.
Same.
I wouldn't even be able to help it, but
It
it definitely
hurts.
grounded me in that sense.
It hurts to not have sugar. I'm just need to put that out there for the 80 millionth time in this past 2 years. I miss Twix. Okay,
I
continue.
miss Twix.
You miss Twix.
Twix, I fucking miss you, bro. I miss you, bro. Wait,
Really?
no.
I was always a Snickers girl.
Yeah?
Mm.
Are you a sweets person or are you a salt person? Milky Ways are
Mm. I
freaking
like Milky Way
delicious.
Midnight. The dark
Mm.
chocolate ones. Those are really
Mhm.
Don't even,
Milky Ways were always my thing.
don't even get me started on the freaking Linder truffles. Jesus Christ.
good.
If we keep talking about them, you're just gonna keep getting sad. So
Well,
No.
actually, speaking of sad news about chocolate, Godiva, actually, I saw something the other day. They closed down like a bunch of their stores.
yeah,
Everything going.
yeah.
I was like, oh well, I don't need
Damn.
it anyway. But I mean, I felt bad, but I was like,
Aw, I don't eat your shit, but
they're probably gonna go
sorry.
online though, knowing them, because I feel like more people buy their stuff like online now.
Yeah, probably, most likely.
I think I've been in a Godiva store maybe one. That one time we were that wasn't even Godiva. That was the Lint store. Wasn't the Lint store in Manhattan that we went to, and they literally had like the 12 different bins of just loose lint
Oh
truffles.
yeah, I've been to
That
the
was
M&M
Lint,
store
right?
before too. That shit was
You know
amazing.
what? I'm sorry. No disrespect to the Hershey store, but last time I went to the Hershey store, my friend was obsessed with Mr. Good bars. And you would think the Hershey store would have Mr. Good bars. They did not have one Mr. Good bar in the entire store. And when I went up to the counter and asked the young gentleman behind the counter why they didn't have Mr. Good bars, the guy was like, "Oh, well, we don't carry them."
That's it.
I'm like,
No,
I understand you don't carry them. I just looked throughout the entire store. You have a freaking Hershey's bar the size of my head, but you don't have one Mr. Good bar. I'm like, that's a Hershey's bar though, and he could not give me an answer. I was very like agitated. I was like, that's weird, but you have Reese's everything everywhere.
no, Reese's. Sorry, Reese's. You guys went down in quality a little bit. Just a little bit.
They're getting weird now. The white chocolate ones are good, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They have like all different
How did
ones
we
now.
get
So,
chocolate?
You brought up chocolate. You said you missed Twix bars. I can't right now.
I was like, wait, yeah, that was probably me. Yeah, food. So yes, I miss food. And so I went actually I realized that again, all three of us went through like weight loss transformations, like
yeah,
getting into shape and like getting healthier. So that's awesome we have that in common. It's not freaking easy to do. I'm pretty sure I cried
Especially
for
now.
like the first 4 months because all I could eat was fruits and vegetables. That's it.
I thought I couldn't breathe beforehand and going to the gym with a mask on. Wow.
Oh,
Going on
yeah.
the treadmill and doing interval sprints like with a mask on, like I almost had
yeah.
a heart attack a couple times, I'm not gonna lie.
I have I have no idea how anybody does it. So kudos to you because I start to lose my breath walking outside with a mask on. So I'm here like, trying to sprint to my car and like by the time I get to my car I'm like I'm breathing in my own CO2. This is horrible. Like
It's terrible. It's really bad. And like, I mean, people are like good at the gym. I go to Blink Fitness and like the people are good. They have like hand sanitizing machines everywhere and wipe machines. So it's like I literally go through about 60 wipes while I'm there, just wiping every knob and handle down and before and after I use it, like just to be sure. But people just freaking leave wipes everywhere. They leave their masks everywhere. I'm like, I can't right now.
It's pretty gross.
Like, I just can't. Like the other day, I like had to literally fix the whole weight rack because all the weights were like all over the place. I'm just like, I can't with people. But I'm glad they're open
Oh.
again.
I mean, look, that's great. You know, for I personally, I would rather do, what you were doing, like take hike the trails and all that, like instead of going to the gym. But that's
It's
just,
just been so cold. That's the only reason why
well,
I
yeah,
have.
yeah.
It sucks because like I don't care. It's weird when I'll go out in the rain. Like in the summer, there would be days where it'd be pouring outside, and I'd be like, "Boop, put my little rain boots and my jacket on, and I'm going out on the trail. And my boyfriend's sitting there laughing at me like, it's downpouring outside. It's like the fucking Amazon outside, and you're going out on the trail. I'm like,
oh yeah,
yeah, because it was 90 degrees out 2 hours ago, and the rain is beautiful. Like, I don't care. I'll get a little muddy. But if it's cold like this outside, I'm like, no, stay in the house.
yeah.
I'm not going out in the woods because I feel like I'd freeze. Something would happen to me in the woods. I would trip and break my ankle, and I would turn
Oh,
into an icicle into the woods.
oh, I was.
You'd find me like just sitting there, like all crinkled
Can
up.
you not, please?
Like the time I got locked out on on my deck.
Just making the comparison about hiking and or going to the gym, I started immediately. I was like, well, in regards to therapy, like through because I do work in at a mental health practice, and I've heard stuff like betterhealth.com. Like, I don't have any experience
Not
like
sponsored.
ever use not sponsored. Not sponsored. Only have heard good things. But I didn't know if you knew anything about those sites or how they work, or like I'm just out of curiosity because I that just came into my mind that that's something that was kind of talked about in my office.
So those apps, they're telehealth. And so what's interesting is that before the pandemic, these apps started kind of they started becoming introduced into the field. For a lot of individuals that can't make appointments and can't, go to offices, people that are actually super busy on a daily basis. So then when the pandemic hit, we all had to end up on telehealth for a certain amount of time. I mean, I know some places are seeing, you know, clients with protective gear and all that, but there's still like I know there's a lot of sites that are still doing telehealth for everybody's, safety. Not only that, I think there's a benefit to it because you can't. So, one thing that I realized in therapy is that you can't see a person's expression when they're telling you something. You can't really see what they're feeling. It's like the mask is a barrier when it comes to that. And one of my, I mean, then this is just a personal opinion, but one of my preferred ways of going about therapy is by really acknowledging, what I'm seeing in front of me, really kind of pointing it out. Um, because I pay attention to nonverbal cues all the time. So, that's why I think that most places have still done telehealth because you can see the person. You can see when they're looking at you, what they're talking about. You can still see emotional responses, sadness, anger. Um, but the thing with the online platforms is that, I think essentially it was made to make it easier for people that were always on the go and couldn't, make appointments. But now we're all on telehealth because
Well,
given the circumstances, it's a lot safer.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
makes more sense with as far as like therapy. Like I would much rather if I went to a therapist right now and they said, "Oh, you could come in, but you have to wear a mask." I would much rather do it over Zoom or, some sort of communication like that just because like you said with the mask it blocks a whole part of your face that shows emotion. Like, yeah, you could look in someone's eyes and see emotion, but not as easily as you can by the way that they're speaking and just their overall feel.
Yeah.
I feel like the mask definitely prevents that. And it is like crazy that like, this pandemic, like everything, like a lot of things have gone virtual as far as that. I know people that are in NA and AA and they've been doing online meetings and they said, thank God I have those meetings still, like because I need them, and it's like it's unfortunate, but it's so good in the sense that we have technology nowadays where we can like still like virtually keep in touch because I know a lot of people that we're going to meetings like twice a day every day, and they were like, holy crap, what am I going to do now? I'm stuck in my house, I can't talk to anybody. And then they started doing the virtual meetings and it's like it was like a freaking godsend to people.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I hated telehealth at first. I hated it. I was like, it's not the same, but I hate change. So I was like, I'll get used to it, just like everyone else in this world needs to get used to change because it happens. But but after a while, I was like how you were saying how the mask is a barrier. I would much rather do the telehealth, especially like if you're having like a breakthrough moment, you start crying. You want to feel free to use your hands and really like let out whatever you're feeling, and it's just instead of adjusting your mask and or wiping around like your tears and stuff, it just doesn't allow for the same experience. And I also found that just I know that a lot of people have trouble finding privacy in their homes, and so that could be a challenge for them. Me personally, I'm lucky enough to have the space where I I can feel all those emotions, and I can feel like I'm really sitting there, with my therapist. So it's I don't know what I'd do without her. She's been extremely helpful during all this, but yeah, just basically I've gotten used to it. It took me what, how many freaking months, but I'm used to it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, each end has its pros and cons, really, between telehealth and seeing people in person. Truth be told, I'm not going to go into detail about listing the specifics, but I was just basically saying that my preferred method is telehealth. Um, I think because for a lot of emotive therapists, it's important. You know, every little word, every little emotion that's shown in therapy is a huge message. It is information that therapists should be collecting in the moments, that they're happening. Um, and it's funny because it's almost like, tears are in the realm of simplicity, but there's a lot that's happened for those tears to, come down the way they are. So it's super important, I think, to be able to see the people that you are talking to. And not to mention, um, Lucy, you were saying, about the NA and AA meetings. That's another thing that the pandemic, I think, has really highlighted the fact that everybody needs supports in every way, shape, or form, whether it's a group or, a friend, a parent, even, that it's just so important that in order to really kind of move forward with your own journey in mental health, you need those supports.
course. Because if you don't have that, I mean, there are people out there that are like, oh, no, I don't need anybody. Everybody needs somebody. And then, like you said, it doesn't matter if it's a friend or a significant other or a family member. You need that, you need that other perspective. Because you could be sitting there saying, oh my gosh, this is going through my head. I feel like I'm going crazy. But then you talk to somebody else about it, and they're either going to sit down and they're going to tell you, listen, like, okay, maybe you are a little crazy, but this is why. Think about it this way. Or you could sit down and might say, hey, I completely agree with you. You're not crazy at all. Like, you need that other perspective on things. Because if you don't, it's, you're in your own head.
Yeah,
And
my primary coping strategy is emotional support seeking. Like and it was not always my strength. I was always like the type to say, "Oh, I don't want to burden anybody with my shit because they got their shit," and I would find any reason under the sun to not share what I was thinking and feeling. And all it did was stress me out even more. What? What's that face? Aquarius. You're Aquarius.
I was gonna say, well, yeah, I mean, it is an Aquarius trait, the need for validation, but
yeah.
Right now.
but validation is important regardless. That's another thing that I actually wanted to bring up, but you started to. um,
Coping strategies?
Validation as one of them.
Oh.
We were actually talking about it like I think it was earlier today about what the appropriate response is to somebody that just really needs someone to be there. What do you remember now?
I do.
Do you want to like start off as to how that started, or
A lot of things happened since that conversation this
The
morning.
floor is yours.
Wait, what?
The floor is yours.
The Great. Um, what were we? I don't know. You can start. You can
I
start because
can't
you have.
remember.
Listen, everybody knows that my memory is that of a goldfish. I can say that I talked about something. I know I did, but I don't remember the exact words.
Okay.
You're smart.
So, our lovely Nicole this morning basically told me that she wanted to address the idea of validation, how an individual can
Oh yeah.
validate someone that's going through it, right? Basically how to guide people how to guide and support people to support their loved ones that are going through it. And one of the things that she actually highlighted is that she hates when she's being told that it's okay, or, that
Doesn't help.
no, not that it's okay or that it's gonna be okay. Or, she also said that she doesn't like when
I don't like, it's gonna be okay, or like, oh, don't cry. Oh wow, why didn't I think of that? Hold on. Wow, my trauma's gone.
I think
right.
we have to normalize saying we have to stop telling people not to cry.
Honestly, you know what the best thing for me to hear is? I swear to God, it's so simple. I get it. I understand.
But what if they don't?
It's okay. Lie to me. Lie to me because it sounds better than it's gonna be okay, or like it's okay. Like it just.
See, I prefer either because I rather
What would you rather like receive in like a moment of
I just want people to listen, to be honest. If I'm going through something really bad and it's like something where it's like, I know you don't understand. Like, perfect example, my ferret died on my birthday and I freaking loved and adored her. She was like my little best friend, you know? But I didn't want people to call me and say, oh, I know what it's like. Because, not for nothing, I know people with ferrets, but not a lot of people know what it's like to bond with an animal. And even if it's like, even if you could sit there and say, I have bonded with an animal before, like, you don't know exactly how I'm feeling. You may have bonded with an animal and love that animal, but I don't necessarily know what you're feeling because I'm not you, you know? So when that happened, I had people calling me and say, oh, it's going to be okay. You know, I know what it feels like and stuff. I was like, I'd rather you just sit there and like just shut up and let me cry, you know, or like,
get
just let me
like allow, you know what, for
just sit there and
people
say
to
you're gonna be there for me.
when
Just say, "Hey, listen, I'll show up to your house with a cup of coffee and,
when people verbalize like it's okay to cry if you need to. I like this is a safe space to cry. Motherfucker, talk about the waterworks. If someone says that, I'm like, okay,
Nikki
now
Sixx
you've made me feel safe and I'm good.
Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue said that to me, but I still couldn't cry.
Well, because it's fucking Nikki Six telling you, I'd probably be like,
That's
Wait a
exactly what
second. You met Nikki Six?
I did, and she was there to witness it.
I took the picture. Oh my
I
god.
died. It was a book signing he did in 2010 or 11
Yeah,
for his photography book that he came out with, and I almost died walking up to him. And I said, "I feel like I'm gonna cry, but I can't right now. It's just not hitting me." And he started laughing. He said, "It's okay. You can cry in front of me. It's just me." And I said, "Yeah, exactly. It's just you. And I'm gonna look like Alice Cooper if I start crying right now." And he started laughing. He's like, "That would be pretty cool, though."
yo,
He was a sweetheart.
he
Shout out to Nikki Six.
shout out to Nikki.
Shout out to Nikki Six. I was just gonna say, like, whoa. Like Motley Crue is one of the bands that I grew up with. So
So you can imagine what I
um,
was feeling like standing 2 feet in front of him.
my
And his publicist
goodness.
was yelling at me because I was like, I brought something for you. I took a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge and processed it in a dark room and framed it for him. And he was doing the photography at that point, and he like flipped out. He's like, "Is this a gift from me?" And he like, I wrapped it because I'm an idiot. He opened it
Not
in
an
front of me,
idiot.
and his publicist was just standing there because like it was like 2 minutes. You had to walk up to him, but he was talking to everybody. He was taking like 10 minutes per person. So like it was like 11 o'clock at night. And we're still standing online waiting to meet him in Borders
It was
bookstore,
it was
and,
fun.
we freaking
Have
met.
to
It was just so sweet, and he was like, "Come give me a hug," and I was like, "Okay," and the publicist was like, "You can't get up from behind the table," and he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna give her a hug. And he came up from behind the table and gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and I died. I left a little bit of my heart there that day.
That was awesome to witness. He just like
I felt like I knew him for 10 freaking years. Like
that's
he was
how
like such a close
he
friend. He talks to people like that. He's all
that's
eyes. So he was like, as he was talking to me, it was like direct eye contact the entire time. Like I felt like I couldn't blink in front of him. I don't think he did either, but
hello.
I always admire people like that, especially people that have really, made their presence known in this world in that way. Because there's a lot that comes with that kind of power. And if you don't harness it correctly, you let it go over your head completely. You almost become like a robot in a sense. So I think that it's a beautiful thing. I talk about this a lot, and for me, what I'm hearing in him reacting to you that way is that he understands the concept that pain is universal.
he does.
That, regardless of how different the experiences are, pain is still pain. It fucking hurts, right? So it's like that's what I I wanted to actually tie that into validation. I feel like we've been conditioned in a way to say certain things when certain things happen. If a loved one or a pet passes away, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, right? The person that's going through it in that moment is not going to take the sorry. It's more like, okay, that's cool, but are you going to hear me out? Or are you going to be there for me when I'm going through it?
You're actually gonna help the pain and not just
Yeah, yeah, and not just kind of,
what like, oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
If you genuinely
yeah.
mean it, like you can genuinely mean it, but at the same time that it's those are just words.
It and it's like a reflex response, right? It's
Yeah.
like
It's like God
it
bless you when you
yo,
sneeze.
next time someone asks you how are you doing, answer honestly. You'll take them back so fucking far. They'll be like, "Oh, okay," because they expect you,
No,
"Good, how are you?" You know?
here's what's interesting. A colleague of mine, I'm going to give her a shout out, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Her boyfriend, when he meets people for the first time, he asks them if they're happy when he meets them for the first time. That is profound. Okay? Like I literally like I must have like I remember when I physically met him for the first time because Rachel and I talk all the time. So physically met him for the first time. I was at their place for the first time. And I must have been there only an hour and he had come back from rock climbing and all that stuff. And he comes up to like I was sitting with Rachel having hot cocoa on the couch and he just stands like up against the ottoman like just like hovering over the ottoman. He's like, "Lauren, are you happy?"
Oh my
I would
god.
have
Do
been
you know
like,
what happened to me? Do you know what happened to me?
What?
I was
Yo,
like
she
I literally I was just like, is this a trick question? And then he goes, "I'm just asking you if you're genuinely happy." And then Rachel went into the whole discussion about how he asks that because that kind of transparency, he wants to be that kind of transparent person in people's lives. And so I was like, yeah, I'm happy with my career. I'm happy with everything I'm doing. I've done a lot in the past year, all that stuff. And then he goes, "But are you happy?" And it was one of those really reflective moments, right? That I realized like the people that he asks this to must have the same kind of response that I do. Like, well, work's good, I get paid, things of that nature, like things are good at home. But when you really come down to the core of it, when it comes to you, to really evaluate, your level of happiness, almost like where are you in terms of Zen, right? It's like, shit, I don't know. And I think that, I wish people had more of a response like that when it comes to really like being more authentic, more transparent, more forward. because the truth ultimately sets you free. That's something that my boss says all the time.
That's true though.
Yeah, like I wish that people were more like that and less robotic. And, you know,
That
Yeah.
because I was listening to Sean from Slipknot, the clown from Slipknot, the other day. He has like a podcast, and he was talking to somebody about that, and he said who made it like a thing where it was like that was our automatic response, where we felt the need, like, in order to succeed in life you have to get up every morning, have a cup of coffee, go to that 9 to 5 job. That's a career, that's a good career, that where you make x amount of dollars every year, and you have your own place, you have your own car. Who sat there and said that these are the things that need to like make us feel like validated in life? And he said, what if you were that type of person to just like wake up every day and you just literally got out of bed, walked to your front porch, and just sat on your porch all day and just pondered life?
Hey, we know all about it. Let's talk about it.
But it's crazy to think about. He's like, what if you just literally
Good
sat
vibes
there
only.
all day, every day, and just thought about what's life? What's life about? What is this like? What are we doing in life? Like, why are things the way they are? Why do we have to have all these things in life
And like
to
who
succeed? Like, there are people that freaking live in the woods that literally live on beans and like live in a tent and are completely healthy and content in life. But you know what I mean, though?
Nicole, Nicole, her Aquarius mind can't process that. She's like, no.
Television.
did you mean glamping and Sephora packages being delivered every day?
No, but you know what I'm saying, though. Like,
I was just like, canned beans. What's worse than canned beans in a tent?
I just thought of Christopher Lloyd and Dennis the Menace real quick with the candy. But you know what I mean? No, there are people. I watch these freaking like wildlife nature shows,
Oh, I'm
and
dead.
there's people that live in cabins in the middle of the freaking Arctic and literally have to go like 20 miles into town to get like a gallon of milk.
Oh, that shit.
No, but they're so happy and
No, that's
content, and there's
great.
no
That's
stress. There's
wonderful.
like they're like, "Oh, the internet? What's that?"
Good for you.
Imagine sitting there
Good
going,
for you.
"What's the internet?" Like these people don't even have fucking cell phone
I
service
no,
half the time.
honestly, actually good for you because as helpful as the internet is, it's also terrible.
Worst thing to exist.
The worst thing to exist. People think that like they know who you are because they are witnessing your the best photos that you choose to put out in public. People think they might know us just from watching this video.
Going
You
back
know
to
what I mean?
validation on
Go, yeah,
Instagram and Facebook.
validation. Tie that shit in because it has everything to do with that.
Jesse said something today. They were talking about that, and he said it's so sad that we've come down to be in a world where you can post a picture and type "felt cute," might delete later because you're in that mindset of, oh, I'm not gonna like it later. Fuck that. Live in the moment. Post that fucking picture or don't. Like, it's we're constantly sitting there going, okay, so I like this picture, but I didn't get a lot of likes on it, so I think I'm gonna delete it. Like, you automatically like have that like
I know.
in your mind. It's like it's scary.
I don't like
I miss going outside as a kid
Is
and playing Barbies.
it. I do too.
definitely is because we live in a society right now, where we're ultimately pressured all the time to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to succeed a certain way. And unfortunately, a lot of these things are tied to material things. And online, we really only see people's proudest moments. We don't see them crash and burn, as everybody does at some point in their lives. And it really doesn't help the people that are going through it in that moment, right? They see these pictures, they see, for example, I don't know, friends succeeding, right? And they're in a different point of their lives where they may not feel like they're there yet, or, they may not feel like they're gonna get there. But it definitely, unfortunately, inflicts this sense of hopelessness for a lot of people. And I mean, you see it all the time, right? People
Remember back
post
in the
their,
people like used to post they would buy one Louis Vuitton shoe and they'd be like, "Oh, I got a new pair of Louis Vuittons, my Louis V's." And then girls, I think Cardi B like mentioned that in a song that she was able to afford both shoes
Oh shit.
because girls back in the day would fucking literally go out and be able to afford one shoe. They would buy one shoe and they would post a picture of that one shoe and be like, "Oh, look at the shoes I just got." But then you would never see the second shoe or them wearing them
Oh
because they only bought
fuck.
one just so they could fucking post a picture making it seem like they could afford them. That's sad. That's,
Yeah,
like,
it is
really
sad.
fucking heartbreaking because, like you said, how it doesn't help people who, because somebody might see that and be like, "Wow, she's doing real good for herself. She got a pair of Louis Vuittons." But it's not good for the person posting it either because you're
Yeah,
giving
it's
yourself
not.
that, like, false sense of hope, like, "Oh, I'm pretending to be something I'm not,"
Right.
like, pretty
Yep.
much.
Just like, you could see a super happy I know I've seen like couples that are like, "Oh, we're going to this island and all this," and they look just like the prince,
5'9".
yeah, Disney princess shit. You know what I mean? And but
Yeah.
then really,
They're miserable.
she's calling me up late at night, going, "I hate this motherfucker. This trip sucked." But and then the next day she posts a picture, with a man,
Sad.
and I'm just like,
Do you have someone specific in mind?
no.
You just started saying she, like
Well, no,
no,
just
I think it's sad
somebody.
because I think we all know people like that.
It's somebody, and it's someone that's not my life anymore, so it doesn't matter. But
We
but
need this is why we need a sample board.
this is I know we keep saying it every week. We keep saying we need a sample board.
So we could
We're
just be
gonna
like,
figure it out.
"Wah."
We're gonna figure it out.
I got some new words for the sample board. Like yuck yuck. That's my new favorite word.
Yuck yuck.
Yuck yuck. I don't know why. I was listening.
Like that's super yuck yuck, as in gross.
No, freaking I was listening to Tommy Lee's wife podcast the other day and she had John 5 from Marilyn Manson on with his wife.
Okay.
Oh my god, such an amazing interview. He's such a freaking cool, down to earth dude. Like she was talking about how like she pretty much had to go to the bathroom and she shit in her yard and her dog ate it. And he was just sitting there laughing. Like
Oh
I did
my
not expect that.
No.
He was like, well, worst part about it was that she said after the dog ate the shit, because she didn't want to leave the dog outside by itself because there's coyotes, the dog started licking Tommy's face. And I was sitting there like mortified because I was like, oh my God, Tommy doesn't even let her like fart in the bedroom.
Oh
Like he like
no.
said, I'll divorce you if you ever fart in front of me ever again. Like he gets like really grossed out about that shit. So I'm like, he's probably gonna fucking leave her after he hears this episode. But John Five was just like sitting there hysterical laughing and he totally forgot where she was talking about how she used to date a comedian and he used to take like really long baths, but like 5-hour long baths. And
Oh
she was like, it was the
goodness.
weirdest thing. And John Five goes, maybe he was in the bathroom writing some yuck yucks. And she's like, yuck yucks? He's like, yeah, every comedian, they're like, they write yuck yucks, jokes, you know? And I was just like,
I have never heard that
yuck
before.
yucks.
Never heard anyone refer to a joke as a yuck yuck.
Apparently, there's a place called Yuck Yucks in like Texas. It's like a comedy club.
Is it bad that I'm thinking of Goofy, but even though it's not like he makes
Well,
like a
I mean,
similar
he
sound?
laughs when he says
Hey,
"yuck yuck."
yuck,
I think that's like
yuck.
kind of like maybe where it came from, but apparently "yuck yucks" are like jokes. But I was saying that like all day yesterday. I
I
was
can't
like,
right
he's
now.
such a yuck yuck.
Honestly,
Such a yuck yuck.
uh, can we normalize like farting in front of our partners because like that
It's a
like
bodily
what
fluid.
what the fuck?
Well, that's
Like
what
I'm
John
sorry.
Five was
Just
like.
the fact that you just told me Tommy's like that, like really, man, like you're telling me that you don't fart like
Well, she started
in
talking
front of
about her
her.
anxiety, and she's like, "I get these really bad chest pains all the time when I have really bad anxiety." And John Five, like, so seriously, like, looked at her. He was like, "It's because you're holding in your farts." You have so much gas built up inside your body because Tommy's not normalizing it. He's like, me and my wife flirt in front of each other all the time, and his wife is like a fucking knockout. And she was sitting there and she's like, yeah, I flirt in front of John all the time. Like, sometimes we literally will pull up to a valet and one of us farted so bad we'll drive around the block with the windows open just so the valet doesn't smell it because we're like nice like that. Like,
Ah.
like we do like shit like that all the time. We don't even think about it. But he's like, that's why you get anxiety. It's not anxiety. It's all the farts built up in your body. You're gonna implode one day, and Tommy's gonna regret it.
Ew, I feel like if you do that, it's just a sign of like, yeah, I'm that comfortable in front of you. Like, what are like some healthy signs that I don't know, like either one of you could think of?
My boyfriend calls me pato when I fart.
Really?
That means little duck in,
Little duck,
in
yeah.
Spanish. Pato.
Oh.
Oh my god. I can't right now. I'm just thinking of like some like healthy signs that like, hey, you're with the right person. I just feel like if you like you can be yourself, then you're headed in the right direction or like you're with the right person. But if you feel like, I don't know, hey, I gotta hold my fucking farts in, like, I don't know, that's not really a way to live. I can't. Anyway, toxic positivity. I just wanted to say, going back to that for a second, whoever made up the good vibes only saying needs to go to fuck to hell.
They need to go to Yuck Yuckville.
They need to go right there. What are some other phrases that you've heard that are like, I don't know, other than the good vibes only that like you can't stand or that you consider toxic positivity?
You know what's so funny? I don't particularly remember it because of how much was reframed for me in my training. Like, now it's not even toxic positivity, it's more of like I focus a lot on empowerment, right? But in order to empower, you have to acknowledge the pain.
Yep.
You have to acknowledge the truth behind the pain. You have to really delve real deep, like into the nitty gritty of it to really be able to empower. But toxic positivity, basically, like an example that I could give is, let's see, you tell somebody that you've experienced extreme trauma, right? And that person pretends to hear you out for a little bit and then tells you, oh my goodness, and then tells you, you know, everything happens for a reason.
I hate
I hate when people
everything
say
happens
that.
for a reason. It's like, what
I'm sorry, but
reason?
if I just shared my trauma with someone and that was their response, I'd be like, yeah, it, please tell me.
People do
Or,
that though.
or like
Like
people
people will
say, it's
say
God's
that.
way. Like, no, it's not God's way. And if it is God's way, I would like to have a one-on-one with him.
That's just not the way of that's not
I want to show
that's
God
not
these
the
yuck
way.
yucks.
That's not the way.
No,
There is this one saying though that I do like a lot. Like if we're talking like in a spiritual sense, um what the devil creates for bad, God uses for good.
I like that.
I like it a lot because in that essence, the things that we go through, sure, they it's basically validating that it's bad. It sucks, it's shitty, it hurts, it's painful, but it then gets reframed with God uses it for good, which means, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. There is, you know, a way to basically rise from the ashes. I really like that saying a lot. It's actually something that I've used recently a few times with some people, and it's interesting because it's not everything happens for a reason.
You're seeing the beauty in the ugliest situations.
Yeah.
Have you read Nikki Sixx's book? This is gonna hurt.
I haven't.
So his daughter wrote something on the back of it, and you talking about that just made me like think of this off the top of my head. And she said she was walking down the street with him one day, and there was a bouquet of roses on the ground. And she looked at the roses and she was like, "Daddy, look at the roses. Like, look at how pretty they are." And he went over and he like stepped on them because they were like outside the garbage can. So he like stepped on them and like squashed them with his boot. And she turned and looked at him and she was like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "Because they're still beautiful. They're still roses.
Six, I love
No
you.
matter how damaged and deteriorated they are and like dead they may look because they've been sitting outside this garbage can, they're still beautiful." And it just like it hit me like when I heard that because like his photography is like based on that. He did a lot of um photography photography with people with like disformations and health issues, and he portrayed them in such like a beautiful light. It was just so incredible to see how you can take something like,
That isn't
yeah,
considered like
isn't considered beautiful and just like portray it as being beautiful. and showing like, hey, these are normal people. Like, even though people might look at them and say, oh, ew, like they're ugly and stuff like that, like they're not. They're actually like beautiful. Like, it's crazy.
I don't know what made me think of something too. I don't even know if it's like related, but I
It's empowering to feel that it's possible to have the mindset to do that. People just see things one way and they don't bother to look into it or, see the other side of it.
mm,
So I like that.
I like that shit. I totally lost what I was gonna say.
Oh,
It just went
Twix bar.
Twix bars. I like Twix.
Like
I totally fucking lost it. Are we back to chocolate?
Back to chocolate.
You're like Tony
I'm
right
doing.
now in the pool with the cigar. By the way, I was gonna get cigars for us at the cigar shop the other day,
I think that we should.
but I didn't know
I
which ones to
love
get.
I
I've
love
never
the
gone cigar
smell
shopping.
I have.
What?
And yeah, the smoke shop that's on Sunrise Highway. I did get it for someone that likes cigars. So,
Were
and I
they 105? Like
what, the price?
no, the person.
I'm done. I quit, guys.
I'm done. I'm done.
Good luck, everybody. No.
The price.
Are they 105? No, they're not 105. But I got them,
I
and
don't know. I
so
I
I
I feel
should
like I
have.
know older people that like smoke cigars and like have like a glass of like whiskey or
Are you trying to
something.
find out who my cigar buddy is?
Who's your cigar buddy? Do I
I'm
know them?
not saying it publicly.
Tell them I know a real good spot in Patchogue. It's like a cigar bar.
I can't right now.
But all the people that I know go there are like over 40 retired cops that just go there and smoke cigars on the weekend and talk about
Hired
talk
cops.
about their wives and their goombas.
And then the guma.
Goombas.
Well, point is, if you really want a cigar, I can pick you up a cigar since apparently I'm a connoisseur now of
I
getting
can't right now.
fucking cigars. But we were gonna go tomorrow on that tour, but there was first of all it's gonna be like
26 degrees
20,
outside.
yeah, maybe
And at
even
night it's
less.
gonna
Right?
be 60, like today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they said that part of it was obviously part of it is going into the Bada Bing, which is kind of like a staple location in the show, but
Right. Right.
it doesn't open until the afternoon. And our tour was going to start at 10 a.m. So we were like, we talked to each other earlier. We're like, let's just number one, save it for when it's nicer out, and two, when we can like go into the fucking the Bing and have a drink or whatever,
They
you know?
bothered to email me yesterday to tell me that it was closed. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry. We're thinking about moving the tour till 2 p.m. because the Bada Bing's not open until 4." I'm like,
Oh, that was
no one knew about this 2 weeks ago when I freaking booked the tour initially. Like,
stupid.
all right. And then they tried to say that I wasn't going to get a full refund because it was within 24 hours. I'm like, if the tour was moved to 2 o'clock, it's only 10:05. Technically, it's 24 hours. And the girl was real nice. Shout out to online tour bookings or
Tell her to go
whatever it
write some yuck yucks.
is. She probably was writing yuck yuck. She put me on hold for like 20 minutes to tell me she could give me a full refund. She just drew a picture of a duck. That's all she was doing when she had me on hold. I can't.
I'm reloading my vape. I
I'm
can't right
crying.
now.
I'm literally crying.
Tell her to go get some yuck yucks.
This is what ends up happening when we do a podcast together. We'll start talking about something serious, and then all of a sudden it turns into yuck yucks.
Look, you said it, so now I can't get it out of my head. I'm fixed on it. It's fine. I love to laugh. Laughing is good for the soul.
Laughing is good. Humor is good.
Whenever I am in a bad mood, what? She's got the face on like she's gonna crack like any moment.
No, I'm just
No,
like tearing right now because I'm laughing so hard.
Yuck. Anyway, so I always will put on something that Jim Carrey or Chris Farley are in, and that automatically it just like lifts my spirits. But the number one is Friends. And I think you just started Friends, didn't you?
I did. I did. I started Friends the other day.
Favorite
I
subject. Where are you up to?
think I'm in episode 6.
Oh, so you're in the first season
I
still?
am, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hello, I'm busy. It's
She's a busy girl.
right now. Like,
Well, listen, because I'm an introvert as well, and I definitely need that recharge time, I literally schedule time to fucking watch my shows now. I have to kind of do the same thing. I just started a show last night called The Flight Attendant. Have either one of you heard of it or
What?
seen that? It was on HBO
Oh,
Max, and
is that the girl?
Kaylee
I
Cuoco's
was
in
gonna
it.
say the chick for Big Bang
And
Theory.
I was like, I need to change a pace right now. And I wanted to start True Blood, but I wanted something like new, like brand new. And I just wasn't in the mood for vampires. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'll I'll try this one out. And I mean, it's the first episode, so it's not really like spoilers, but obviously she's a flight attendant, meets a cute guy. They go out for dinner like in Bangkok or something. She goes over his like apartment or hotel room, whatever, wakes up after like a drunken night and he's got his throat slit in the bed and no one and she doesn't know what the fuck happened. So it just kicks off from there. And I think Rosie Perez is also in it. I noticed
That's Paul's girl. My
I
boyfriend
yo
loves her.
Rosie Perez is fucking awesome. She's funny as fuck too, like Pineapple Express. So
Yeah.
yeah, I started that and I'm really liking that right now. What about you?
I've been watching SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
'Cause that's me. I just can't help it. Every time I go back, which episode did I watch the other day? Band Geeks, when Squidward starts his own band because oh my god, I forget his name. The dude with the unibrow, Squilliam, the freaking his like arch enemy says he's got to play like the Bubble Bowl, and he fucking like starts a band, and like Patrick's sitting there and he raises his hand. And he's like, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" And Squidward's like, "No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument." And he goes to raise his hand. He goes, "Horseradish is not an instrument either." And he puts his hand down. But even like the beginning of the episode, like Squidward's just chilling in his house playing the clarinet. It's, all of a sudden his doorbell rings and it's this like vet and he's standing there. He's like, yeah, I'm from the animal hospital down the block and we heard that you have a dying animal on the premise." Like,
What the fuck? Yo, how many
because they heard him playing clarinet.
Oh shit. Yo, how many seasons are they in right now?
13.
My oh.
I haven't really watched a lot of the newer ones though cuz they're funny but like not as funny.
Hmm.
The first like 2 seasons are like the freaking best.
Once she told me that she was watching Friends, oh my god, I was so excited. I'm like,
Now
yes,
you're going to be quizzed.
join the cult. No,
Oh my
I would never quiz you. But I would
quiz.
never quiz you, but like obviously like who's your man on the show? I think I know who it is.
Friends?
Yeah, who's your man? That guy, the three.
She's like, I just started it. Don't pressure me.
No, you come on. You see those three and like automatically like it's somebody.
I mean, if I'm trying to break my own toxic
Ah,
pattern,
so moving away from Joey next.
Amazing.
I love it. I love it.
I like Chandler a lot, actually.
Okay. Well, Chandler is my favorite. I mean, I think Joey's cute as hell. I actually, when I was younger, I despised Ross. And then when I got older, like as the seasons went on, I'm like, damn, like he's actually one of the most relatable because if you watch his scenes without laugh tracks, like you can tell that he has like something going on there.
Yeah, he's
Like
different. I like him though.
and but he has I don't know what to classify him as anyway, but he's kind of a weirdo. He's kind of a weirdo and he's really relatable and things just never go right for poor Ross.
Poor
And
Ross.
sometimes we can feel like that. I don't know. It's sometimes seeing like mental illness portrayed in fiction kind of helps me. That's where I was leading. Like
Yeah.
there was one episode where he like something gets fucked up at work and they put it like
The
they put him on
sandwich.
yes. Yes, he freaks out
Because this guy keeps
because
stealing his
because
sandwich,
his
right?
boss ate his sandwich and it was like a special like thing Monica does every Thanksgiving with the turkey leftovers and the boss eats the sandwich and Ross freaks the fuck out and they give him like a sedative
He has to
and
take like a 2 week off, like
like
suspension.
sabbatical and all this shit and I was just like damn like it wasn't about the sandwich Ross so what is it really about Ross why are you so mad You know,
Yeah.
it was kind of like going back to what you said before. Like he wasn't really freaking about the sandwich. It's a bunch of other things that free. You know,
Didn't Rachel bring a guy to Thanksgiving and that's why he like initially freaked out? He was like pissed off about that because he had just broken up with a
um,
girlfriend or something. I feel like it was something
that
like
sounds
that.
on brand. Sounds
So,
on brand.
sounds about right. Sounds like friends worthy.
It does. They're always trying to make each other jealous. But anyhow, I feel like I could just go on about this forever. I feel really bad.
Twix bars.
But I'm very Twix bar. I'm really happy that you like Chandler Chan Man. Wait, what is his nickname? J Man and Channy. You'll hear that eventually. But yeah, he's my favorite too.
Mr. Bean.
I just like the awkward, funny guys. I guess.
Um, I'm an extrovert, so as you can imagine how the pandemic has been for me.
Told me one
Yeah.
Nicole, I'm going crazy, Nicole. I'm like, it's been 1 week. Like, we have a long way to go, Lauren. Like, you need to
No, but I
stop.
respect that because I just by talking to you, this is the first time we spoke, and I feel like I don't want to use the term a go getter because I don't like that phrase, but like you seem like you're more content when you're keeping busy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually something that I learned during the pandemic. I too had to sit with myself. Nicole knows a lot about it, but basically I had to heal from a lot. I didn't face a lot of my experiences, and then going into the therapy room and becoming, a therapist. This is why everybody talks about self of the therapist, that therapists should have an awareness of what's going on with them when they're, giving a level of care to their clients, right? um I realized a lot about myself, and I think that eventually what ended up happening is that once I started to heal, my own experiences became kind of like a driving force. um I wasn't taking shit anymore from anybody. Not from it's not it wasn't just people, but just things in my life that have happened, and I wasn't doing it anymore because I made the conscious decision of waking up one morning and saying I could either let it drown me or I can keep swimming. And I decided to keep swimming. I decided to keep going against the tide, right? So that was something that definitely shaped me, I think, for the better. Because now, I wear a lot of hats right now. I am, part of a board. I am part of my program's student support. I'm really like navigating all of that right now. And on top of that, interning. And on top of that, also, doing things on my own, really kind of trying to shape my future the way that I would prefer it to be. So it was kind of like I had to do this boundary setting, right? I had to set boundaries. I had to, find my outlets of healing, because the pandemic really did. I'm not going to sit here and say that it didn't. It did put me in a place of reflection. Um, and ultimately figure out and really embrace the people that really always truly had my back without even kind of realizing it maybe in the beginning. But once you really like go into that kind of deep reflection, suddenly it's like, okay, you know, I realized that I was keeping myself busy before, but I wasn't reflective.
Understandable.
Yeah. So it was
Like that
like,
forced you to be reflective.
yeah,
And the whole
yeah,
putting up boundaries so you can do what it is you want to do, like how you were saying, like be a part of a board and all this. It's like there I don't want to say maybe it is right to say like does it feel lonely sometimes or maybe are the responses you get from other people like oh she's not available anymore or like have you had connections in your life, like people feel like disappointed, or just maybe them experiencing like they're disconnected from you because they're not um like in your like on the same path, you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. There comes a responsibility with that. Um, there is a responsibility with that, actually. Not everybody's going to understand what's going on or what you're doing to keep yourself busy, or to even, because I'm in the mindset where I'm advancing my career, right? So that's really me right now. And recognizing when I do and don't have the time, that's a me thing. And also communicating it to my loved ones, my friends, that's a me thing too. That's my responsibility. And that's something that I have to take accountability for. Because I think that when it's appropriately addressed, the people will understand, what's going on. And eventually you will make time, to be with these people. Like, that's why I said, like, a lot of my get togethers, I usually like to plan ahead of time now. So that way I make sure when that week is coming up, nothing is going on that day at that time. Because I do value my friendships, but there have been people that have tested my boundaries and like have tested my patience. I mean, I'm only human. um in that kind of narrative where you're just never available, or never this or never that. And I've realized that it's those people that it's not necessarily that they want me, like they want my time, they're wanting validation for themselves. So that's usually when I get into the whole conversation of, if it's not me, who else can it be? You know? Um, and unfortunately, I mean, some people get, not that I like to cut off, I don't like to cut off, but some people are just better off not in the moment that I'm in at that time. Um, because I think putting yourself first and foremost is important. I think that, recognizing your own value and your own worth is important. Um,
And people
empowering.
Yeah, yeah.
people forget that a lot.
People forget that a lot. People forget that a lot. It's unfortunate because sometimes it takes something huge for people to remind themselves, you have to put yourself first. You have to.
We're the only people
Um,
capable of doing that for ourselves, you know?
No one's gonna do that for you.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is I
yeah,
mean, people forget that. It's like what you were saying, like how people like some people just don't fit into what you're doing at that point. And it may
Yeah.
not necessarily be that they're toxic or, harmful or whatever. It just, they're not on the same path as you. And sometimes those people, without even realizing it, tend to hold you back.
That's exactly, something you put it very well. Because that's actually a trait of what's considered a toxic relationship or friendship, where one individual feels like they're being held back or not living their fullest potential because the other individual, not even maliciously so, is holding them back. Um, and that's giving that other person the power and control over the person that feels held back. And that's why, it's newfound for me, even, but voicing your opinion and voicing, your needs, your wants, to your partner or your friend, um, is the most important thing. Because eventually what happens is you build time with this person, you invest into this person, and this person doesn't even know who you are. And that's the saddest part about a relationship or a friendship, because you're supposed to be enabling each other to grow, right? You're supposed to.
As I'm listening to all this, I just experienced this recently. And we don't have to go about it on air, but yeah, it sucks. It really sucks.
yeah.
It does.
Yeah, no, it
Yuck, yuck.
it's yuck yuck at that, man.
Yuck, yuck.
Yo, and it's okay, so I can use my friendships with both of you as example for this. You know, I know that if I don't hear from either one of you for like 2 3 days, I'm not thinking, oh my god, like where's Lauren, where's Lucy, what's going on, but I'm just like they're fucking busy. I know what's up. I know what's up. That I
Not
don't.
now, but at some point you were worried, but that's another story. Like
But that was for wait for you.
that was, yeah, for me. That was oh,
That was when you were
Yuck, yuck.
no, when it was a yuck when you know that something is actually going on. I'm talking about a normal day-to-day basis, but if you know that your friend's going through something and you don't hear from them, oh no, that's a totally different fucking story. Totally different story. But you see, my problem is that I realized I assume everyone's gonna give me that same like think the same thing
Sir.
about me,
Mhm.
and that's not the case. So I want to, I guess, make an effort to be like, hey, like this, you know, this person, they may not be like that, so therefore let me like reach out, like it's just. But I leave up statuses that are like, okay, like I'm recharging, I'm an introvert, get back to you in 5 to 7 business days. That's me, that's me. I can't help it.
That is you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You want to know something? It's okay to come with a disclaimer. I come with a disclaimer all the time. I let, people know, listen, it's going to be a tough week. If you don't hear from me, a check-in would be nice to make sure I'm still alive and drinking coffee somehow, but I may not be as available, so. And I think that the most organic friendships and the most organic relationships do happen on that level where both individuals understand themselves and each other as individuals and not just the relationship or the friendship. um because you have to remember, when you're forming a friendship or when you're forming a relationship, you are melding both of yourselves into it. You are creating a union, really. And what comes with that union comes with that other's individual's generational experiences, their traumas, everything that comes with that person comes into that relationship. It's just it basically it's how you go about it, right? So that's what's interesting. One of the things that I found personally with me with my friendships is that once, I mean, I will form a friendship with someone, right? And that friendship would be great, but then we both have to veer off our own paths for a little bit to come back stronger than we were before. And sometimes that happens.
And honestly, me,
Yeah,
same.
yeah. And sometimes that happens because how else are we supposed to come into our own identities, really, if not for our own personal growth? Same thing with relationships. Um, a lot of people need to remind themselves why they got together. What was it about that person that they chose to become their significant other? It's that constant reminder when things feel like they're kind of veering off into different paths, right? Because odds are that what you felt in the beginning is still there. It's just a matter of bringing it to the forefront and not getting lost in the everyday mundane things. So, when it comes to that, I think that it's ultimately important, when you put yourself first and foremost, the healthier relationships are formed.
I completely agree with
Oh
that.
yeah, that's for sure. Like, what did I wait? I know there's been so many memes. I just think of memes I've shared with both of you, and I know it's my Aquarian brain, but it's always been like, oh no.
Memes.
She asked me once, "What's most important to you in in a relationship?" You know what my dumbass said? My independence. And she goes, I can't believe that was really the first thing that you said, but I stand by it. I stand by that. My independence is important because I'm not looking to become an extension of my partner, and I do not want them to do the same to me.
Not only that, but
I
you don't want to have to change who you are as a person to satisfy that person.
Yeah, because
Like
then you're fitting
there's
the mold.
compromise,
You're
but there's a difference.
yeah, exactly. Like you can compromise over what, like maybe like one of you wants pizza, the other one wants sushi. That's a compromise, okay? But and it's always sushi for me. But
I meant something a little like more serious,
no, no,
but
but no, no, but
you could compromise over food too. I meant compromise like, oh, say you start dating that person and that person's like a raging crackhead, but you really love that person and you know there's like another person behind that.
you said
Like
raging crackhead.
compromise would be like, okay, for this relationship and for my own
I
health,
go
I'm gonna
for
go to
food, you go for
rehab.
crackhead. I was gonna start with the small things and then build up to that, but you're
I
absolutely
thought of
right.
Christopher Moltisanti and how he had a drug problem and Adriana didn't want him to do drugs anymore, so he went to rehab.
I can't right now, but you're absolutely right.
That's compromise.
Yes.
I mean, you're bettering yourself and your health too, but sometimes people need to hear that they're doing it for somebody else to give them a jump start to do it.
So to in return, my answer, I'm standing by it. What, Lauren, what is most important to you in a relationship?
Personally or on the clinical level?
Personally.
Trust.
Are there two different answers to
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
that?
interesting.
On the clinical level, on the clinical level, there's a lot that encompasses that.
I feel like
You
trust
know,
will be on there.
trust is definitely on there, also friendship. Friendship is the foundation of the relationship. It's actually been studied and known that when couples start off on a friendship as the foundation, they tend to go through hell or high water together, still sailing like nothing happened. And it's kind of, it's a beautiful thing to see, really. And these couples ultimately, they have a sense of understanding each other as individuals because they were friends, like they were on a very individual level at some point. So they brought that individuality into the relationship. So they're already, in this relationship knowing how each one works, right? And there's that romantic aspect now. So it becomes very, powerful that way, very healthy, because it's also something that took time too. And
Wasn't built in
something,
Yeah.
huh?
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly the case. And, that's why I think, and myself included, people get misconstrued with the message that media send to a lot of us as little girls and little boys, that it has to start off intense, it has to start off, fiery, and it has to be ultimately this very passionate start. But experience will tell you that that's not always the best case. um
Hmm. No kidding.
Yeah, experience will always tell you that that's not always the best case. It's actually
Starts fiery, it burns out. That's how I have experienced it.
either burns out or burns down the whole house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Like how you just
like I
yep.
there are two different cases there when it comes to those kinds of relationships. And I think that that's ultimately, like, I don't want to say it's the scariest part about it, but it definitely leaves room for growth. And that's not to say that there aren't relationships that have started like that have thrived. There are. It just takes a lot more communication and a lot more, compromise, a lot more sacrifice even to get to that point. Something that I like to tell people is that we don't live in our parents and grandparents generation anymore, where they got together right away and they stayed together for 50 years. A lot of people ask that question. What is it about that, generation that really let people stay together? And then you have colleagues of mine going, well, mental illness was a stigma, so nobody talked about it. If there was abuse going on of any kind, nobody talked about it. So it was more of, them just staying together, even if they weren't exactly happy, right? So,
We're in like a diehard like Catholic or Christian household. If you got divorced, it was like blasphemy.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the time, you got like excommunicated from the church because of that.
yeah,
Like, you remember in Walk the Line when Reese Witherspoon was in the store and the woman like kept giving her dirty looks and she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, your mother
Yeah.
would be disappointed because like back then, if you got divorced, like you were looked at like you were like the plague. It was
yeah,
like, oh, how
I mean,
could you do that to God?
I mean, to be honest with you, like
You
my
torn.
parents, like when they split, I think like officially I was like 13 maybe. I remember not wanting to talk about it because it was made to feel like this is the worst thing that could happen to a family is that
yeah,
parents.
yeah.
And then when like as you get older, you realize like wow, so many other parents are split up. Like why was I taught that this was like the worst thing that could happen to a family unit? But in fact, it actually could end up being the best thing that could happen in some cases with some couples.
My
You know,
parents get
just to
along better now that they're divorced when they were together.
that's
Like, and they hated each other forever, like a long time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
There's a lot that goes into that too. There's a lot of generational stuff that goes into that, that's what the core of my study is based on. I study families and I study relationships. So, something that we find out is that things are inherited. Even if
uh oh.
well, that's the thing. Things can be inherited, but when you come to that awareness of that inheritance, you can either resolve it or correct it.
I might go live in a tent in the woods with my canned beans. Like, I don't want to be like my parents.
I guess I'm never visiting again.
Right. But I do actually have to wrap up, ladies, because I have a meeting at 7. So
I was keeping an eye on the clock. I wanted to respect your time. Thank you so much for being on and talking about this so candidly, openly. We really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
And on a personal note, like I love you, bitch.
I love you too, bitch. Um Honestly, if either of you ladies ever need any kind of, insight, I'm always here. All right.
Thank you so much, sweetheart.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
All right. See you. Bye.
Okay, so isn't she a doll?
I like her.
She's a
She's a
girl.
girl.
She's a fucking girl. That's my fucking girl. I met Lauren through an online writing community many years ago, and we just connected from there. We discovered that we live close to one another, and
Yuck
it
yuck.
just and yuck from there, basically. And yeah, I guess we kind of reunited at a point in our lives where we had gone through similar journeys only separately. So it was very interesting then to reconnect with her and share that. But yeah, she's amazing. And she's been through, even though I'm just starting my education with, with psychology, um, she's just been a great and insightful, I want to say mentor.
I get that vibe from her. She's very I don't know what the word would be. I'm just a yuck yuck right now.
You're just a fucking yuck yuck. Like what? She's what?
She seems very
Insightful.
like yeah,
She's
insightful,
in.
intelligent, but like also
She
like
is. Yeah.
good spirits.
Very, very much so.
I get a good energy from her. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, very good energy. She's a ball of sunshine. And what was that?
I was like, I like her.
What was it?
Yuck
Yuck, 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 yuck. So,
yuck. I almost just sang the song.
what song?
She's a bad man, my jammer.
Listen,
I've been singing that all
before.
day.
No.
Look at my eye right now.
Tell them what happened.
I have like popped a blood vessel before.
Oh shit.
That happened before when I
I
called you and I was
actually
crying. I'm
I
not gonna tell
have
you. We're not gonna talk about on the air why I was crying. But when I
no,
called you before and was crying,
I
that's what
actually
happened. I popped a fucking blood vessel in my eye.
I have like
Visine or something that I could have put in my eye in the beginning of the podcast, so I didn't look like.
yes.
Wait, I
Um
might as well put it in now.
no, it's not Visine, but it's purposely like to get like the red out of your eyes. It's just I forgot what it's called.
For
Oh wait,
dry,
here hold on.
clear
No,
eyes.
no.
What does that say? Band Mama Jamma?
I
That's a
can't
label and a half.
I don't want to say the brand name out loud cuz we're not sponsored.
If I could read that.
Put it in on air. Put it in, put it in.
Can anyone read what this fucking says? Because I can't.
I
Even
mean,
if we wanted to fucking give him a shout out. It looks like it says Gumby.
Lumify, not sponsored.
Gu-
There we go.
How's your Gumby eye drops?
Made to fucking say it anyway. Gumby eye drops. Don't let it touch your eye.
I did that.
Honestly, Gail.
Sorry, I do a little wipe there. I'm a bad man.
I get even not weird about people using my eyeliners, but I always make sure I sharpen
Look at
them.
my face.
I always make sure. I always make sure that I like sharpen my eyeliners
Well,
after
it's funny
someone
you
uses
say
it.
that because I always do this with the top of like eye
Anything?
stuff
Yeah.
that I use from people.
Yeah,
So you're good.
Let me see. It's supposed to go into effect within like 60 seconds. So we'll see what happens with that.
Going into effect, yeah. Hold on, touch up.
I'm really feeling how my skin's looking today, other than like what's happening right here. Did you ever like look at your face, ladies, or yeah, I guess gentlemen too? I just feel like as women, we just naturally focus. What was that? As women, we naturally focus on our like our aging, our age mark things more. And this, I'm gonna have a mannequin mouth. You know what I mean? Like one of those like really old ladies that has like the lines right here.
So glad my eye is not
Here's my
red anymore.
here's my angry 11s.
Oh,
Oh,
wish I
see?
mentioned that to you before the podcast.
Me too.
Guys, I'm cured.
Thanks, Lumify.
That's me right now.
Not sponsored, but
Gumby eye drops. It's not Lumify anymore.
why the fuck? How did it look like Gumby?
It looked like it said Gumby.
Well, it didn't. Fuck it.
Yuck.
Yuck.
So you're gonna have to get new eye drops now because I touched it.
No.
You
Okay.
can use one of my wet wipes.
You know what that's from?
Yuck.
Eating those damn tacos.
Oh my god, I forgot I had another one.
The pico is delicious, but it definitely like I don't know.
Yuck.
Yuck, exactly. I can't.
Yuck red onion. As soon as we started the podcast, I like smelled my breath and I was like, red onion.
Oh no. Okay, listen. I despise onions, but only in two cases: the pico and French onion soup, and that is where the onion ends for me.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I had French onion soup at BF's restaurant and it was like godly. It was so good.
Like, well,
It was the best in the West. Well, the East, because it was in New York. And to those who don't know who I'm referring to when I say BF, Bobby Flay. I call him BF like I know him.
Yo, Bobby Flay, yes, he's obviously a very good chef, but like,
Yuck.
he's kind of like a high key dick at the same time. Like, whenever it's like whoever like versus Bobby Flay, I forgot what the fucking show is. I'm always rooting for the underdog. It's like, come on, like, beat his ass.
I know somebody that
Make something
actually.
better.
I know someone who beat Bobby Flay on
You
that
do?
show. I do. Shout out to Chef Brian.
Yo, Chef Brian, good for you, because Bobby Flay's a dick. Wait, I want to know what he made.
He's a yuck.
He's a fucking yuck. I want to know what he made.
I have to send you
remember?
the episode. I do not remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to say something that is wrong.
I got you.
But he beat him.
For you.
And he's a good guy.
Good
He's
for
cool
you.
people. I would like to try to have him on here one day.
It's me right now. I literally cannot believe I said the price when you said 105.
I'm sure there's cigars out there that are $105.
Sometimes, there probably is, but sometimes I just really wonder about what's going on in my fucking pea brain.
You could probably
Like,
get them at Yucks.
Like, I'm so I
Comment
can't.
down below if you know if there's a place that exists that is called Yuck
I
Yucks.
don't understand
I'm
how
probably gonna look it up before anyone fucking comments this, but
I don't understand how I could be so smart but so fucking dumb at the same time.
you're not dumb,
You
girl.
you know what I mean. She knows what I mean.
It's airy moments. It happens to all of us.
Airy moments.
Just a little too much air gets into our brain and we're like, "What?"
Speaking of air, I enjoy the air sign trifecta vibe that we had going. We're all a bunch of chatty, insightful bitches. Insightful, chatty, deep bitches.
That's us right now.
That's us.
Yuck yuck.
It's fucking 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not gonna be any better tomorrow.
And now it's dark out, so it's gonna be even colder.
Mm.
Yuck yuck.
Oh my god.
I'll
Oh my
probably tell
god. Are
Paul
we
to
gonna
start the car for us before we go outside,
we
just so it's warm.
probably should. Okay.
It's better for your car anyway to do that. Not that anyone's listening and going like, yeah, she's making a beef and start a car. Yuck yuck. First of all, second of all, it's better to start your car and to let your car run for a couple minutes before you
You don't
drive
have one of
away.
the Batman buttons?
I
The
wish I
Batmobile
did.
I almost said buffins.
You know what's weird?
Batmobile button.
Paul doesn't have one of those buttons, but if he hits the lock button like more than twice or something like that, his car will just like start. It's a yuck yuck thing.
That's it.
She's a
That's it.
bad mama jamma.
Yeah, oh right. So yeah, the bad mamma jamma. Let's fucking go back to that
So mama
for a
jamma
moment,
means motherfucker.
apparently. But
That's what I heard
we
before
were
this
in the
started.
car before, and just before I put on Faith No More, here's the thing about Lucy and myself. We accumulate several
We're the
beverages
beverage queens.
on the way from my job or house to her house, like
One side of the
whichever.
island to the other, pretty much.
Yeah. So immediately she picks me up. I always have a bottle of water on me, always.
And I usually have a bang.
So I say, oh, let's go get coffee. So we pick up some lattes.
Shout out to Ground Central.
Oh my God, Ground Central, you guys have the best fucking coffee. I'm pretty
So
sure that it's only Brooklyn and Limbrook where they have locations. If I'm not,
possibly.
there might be another one, but just go and check out their website if you're in, if you live in New York, see if there's one by you.
If
And
not, I apologize in advance because they blow like every other coffee shop out of the water.
totally, like at first I was like, oh, they're getting rid of Starbucks, and then I stopped having
Yuck yuck.
sugar in my diet
Buck
and
buck yucks.
Buck Young's. And then I tried this place and I was like, wow, this shit is like artisan quality. Like, fuck Starbucks. Fuck that. So we get the lattes. Now there's another place by her. And what is it called? Fuel? Energy
Energy
Fuel?
fuel.
Okay.
There's also one in Hicksville too. If you guys are
So
closer to Nassau.
this place has like a bunch of healthy yet delicious stuff, but we definitely like their their smoothies. So now we pick that up. Then we go and get some fucking tacos because that's gonna be the thing that we eat for the night, I guess.
Veggie tacos next door.
Veggie tacos is freaking delicious.
Sweet potatoes, pico, even though yuck yuck to the pico, according to you. They do like corn salsa. But yeah, they have these like tacos. It's like seasonal vegetables if you don't want meat.
Hmm.
Because I've been real trying hard not to eat meat. The only thing I will delve into once in a while is I'll eat bacon. But other than that, like I don't eat meat anymore.
It's hard at first. It's hard at first to like stop with the meat. Like I mean,
It's
I
getting
still eat I
easier right
still eat
now, I feel
chicken,
like.
so I can't really like completely relate. But and seafood, but red meat totally out for me.
I could
So
find something to eat anywhere though, I feel like.
they
Every place
they
I've
make
gone to
it
eat,
a lot
like
easier nowadays, which I'm really thankful for. I
especially
feel like
Taco Bell.
people have like a lot of vegetarian or vegan options no matter where you go. It's available more so now, thank God.
And not for nothing, like I used to I mean, I can't say I used to love Taco Bell because like I always used to get sick from it. But I was nervous going to Taco Bell because I was like, all right, cool, I'll get like a cheese quesadilla. Like I know that's like safe, but I was like, I kind of want something different.
Delicious.
The black bean chalupas, or really anything with black beans in it, like the Crunchwrap Supreme with black beans. I don't miss the meat at all anymore from there because like the black beans are so good and they taste so much better.
And the meat is like garbage.
It is
It's
garbage.
literally
It's not like garbage.
garbage.
It is garbage. And
Yeah.
there, I saw an article on, speaking of garbage food, I fucking saw an article on Facebook today that a new lawsuit is coming out that somebody found out that there's not actual tuna in the tuna fish from Subway.
Oh God.
They didn't say what it was, but they're like, it's not actual tuna. It's probably like some other kind of fish or
I'm
something.
just being
But
honest right
still,
now. Like
like,
I tuna's like okay. Mostly I'll eat like like sushi tuna, but I can't say that I've gone to like a fast food or deli or really gotten tuna anywhere
I don't
because
trust it. I have to make it
I just
myself.
exactly like if anything I'll just if it's the tuna obviously like a fillet or something you bake or if it's like in the can like the albacore okay fine.
I take
I
that.
would
I
never get a
It's so
tuna
good.
sandwich from Subway. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
no, neither would I.
Mm-mm.
I haven't
Um,
eaten tuna in forever,
would you ever try raw tuna? Ever?
especially now that like I'm not eating meat. Probably not. I have a real cucumber roll.
It's good. Oh well, yeah. I mean,
You know what? Actually,
you could
I
still
can say
enjoy it
that. I would probably try it. I can't even lie because like if I got like real deal good sushi, I would be curious to try seafood.
every time Lauren comes over. If I want to say most times because there's been some times where she's like wanted like tacos. We have like a really good place by my house called I Caramba, and they have good shit there. But most of the time it's sushi. I The first time she tried sushi, we went to Misago in Oceanside. I was like, come on, like just try it. And then ever since, she's loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I hated the idea of sushi too. And then my ex for like one of my our anniversaries or something, he's like, all right, like I'm gonna bring you to this place and like you just try it, whatever. I'm like, all right, fine. He gets a huge sushi boat thing.
What a yuck yuck.
Such a yuck yuck. And such a fucking yuck yuck. And he gets this huge boat, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like this shit. And you just got this whatever, fine, your money. So I pick up off a piece of salmon, do the ginger, wasabi, some soy sauce, and like halfway through chewing it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finish this entire boat. Like it was as quick as that. I immediately loved it, and the texture just like was an issue for me. Though obviously I understand why it is for some people. Like you
Like you
can
and me.
like, you look at sushi and you're like,
Yuck yuck.
"Yuck, yuck." But from that day forward,
It's
it
not
it
even
changed.
that. It's I just get really scared with the quality of ingredients. To be completely
Yes.
honest, like I feel like if I was someone who ate sushi all the time, I would be a snob about it.
To be honest, I am. I am because listen, if you're eating raw food, you want to make sure that you're getting it from a high quality place.
Not a yuck yuck.
So, not a yuck yuck place. So, our favorite in my household has become Sushi Palace in Rockville Center. They have really just it always tastes fresh and
Mary goes to
it's
this
good.
place on Merrick Road in Limbrook.
Mikado.
Maybe.
It's like by the movie theater.
Oh no, this is further down. This is like
Oh.
you know that little like weird shopping center like by McDonald's. It's like across the street from like where McDonald's would be on Merrick Road in Limbrook.
I
But
do
that little like
know
chain of like beige concrete
I
like stores.
I do know where it is, but
It's in there.
I
I
can't
can't think of the
think
name
of
of it,
it.
but she goes there. I like
Hmm.
brought her there once to pick up food, and I was like, I didn't even know this place was here. Like it's mad small.
That's honestly out of okay. Asahi's up the block from me, so like there's
That
obviously I get
plumbing
from
place
there.
is
Like
right there, and the physical therapy place is
I know
across the
I
street.
know
It's like right there.
exactly what you're talking about, and this
Yeah.
is my town, and I'm still sitting here like
Yuck yuck.
what yuck yuck. Like where is this place?
I'm gonna make the thumbnail for this episode. I'm gonna draw.
Goofy?
No, I'm gonna
No,
draw
no,
a
no, no.
picture of a duck on a chalkboard that I have, and I'm gonna write yuck yuck, a little bubble like coming from his mouth, and it's gonna say yuck yuck
I like
because that's what the lady was doing when she put me on hold this morning. She was definitely drawing a duck and writing yuck yuck.
unbelievable. I'm sorry, I couldn't even like hold back from that.
Because she put me on hold for like 10 fucking minutes, dude.
Die.
Yuck yuck.
Okay. So
I think we should go eat our yuck yucks.
we are going to eat a taco. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope that all of you enjoyed our conversation and Lauren's insight. And
We're gonna try to do more episodes pertaining to mental health because we feel like it's something that needs to be spoken about more.
absolutely, Yeah. It's definitely important. Remember to take care of yourself, whatever that means to you. It doesn't mean that you have to, book a spa day. It could just be blasting your favorite music and dancing around your room, or like ordering your favorite food for dinner, you know, or calling up a friend and having a Zoom call. Like it can mean anything to you. So just stay in tune with your needs and yuck yuck.
And yuck yuck.
Okay.
Stay Gary, Sarah
Stay
Gary's.
Gary, Sarah Gary.